It's probably one of the biggest conventions of the year too. They've got so many talent, well over 100 superstars. So make a weekend out of it. Come on down after you get full of your turkey and your stuffing. Come do some real Black Friday shopping at WrestleCade and stick around on Saturday, because Saturday night after the matches is where you can catch Arn and myself and pick his brain, man. The enforcer. He's giving you a peek behind the curtain for the first time. ArnShowLive.com. And I want to circle back just a minute to that promo that you did on the beach in Pensacola for Dusty, because it's got such a great history to it. You know, obviously Flair had been recruiting you, but then Dusty asked for the tape, and you know, that tape really became what lit the match for your incredible run in Jim Crockett Promotions. And then of course the WWF and then WCW and WWE. And I mean, you may have still gotten there eventually, but it's just fun to sort of trace it back, like we were talking about a little earlier with the Road Warriors. So what I want to do right now is play the audio from that promo, which a lot of fans still hold in high regard today. It made air on Nitro, believe it or not, August 31st, 1998. And shout out to the Mid-Atlantic Gateway. If you're a fan of these territory days and Jim Crockett Promotions and early Arn Anderson, I encourage you to go to midatlanticgateway.com today. Dick Bourne and his tag team partner, David Chappell, there have archived all kinds of great stuff about Arn Anderson and the Four Horsemen, and specifically Jim Crockett Promotions and the Mid-Atlantic territory. It's midatlanticgateway.com, or just check the description of this episode. You'll see tons of old classic content from Arn and the good old days. But anyway, without further ado, let's share that promo.
I've been getting word that there's a lot of talent flooding into the Mid-Atlantic area. A lot of people are wondering why. Why is all this talent wanting to come in the Mid-Atlantic area? Well, I'll tell you why. Because for 7 long years, everybody was horrified to come in the Mid-Atlantic area because of 2 reasons. Namely, Gene and Ole Anderson. They run roughshod over everybody, hurt them, and sent them packing, Daddy. Some of them's working at Hank's hot dog stand, some's working at 7-Eleven, but none of them are wrestling. Well, just because you think that's all over, brother, that was the calm before the storm, because the best, the youngest, the best looking Anderson is on his way. You understand what I'm saying? Now you got several timid fellas running around there blowing their own horn. You got Dusty Rose, the American Dream, apple pie, mom, hot dogs. Well, brother, your mama must have fed you a lot of apple pie and hot dogs. You got Ricky Steamboat. Looks like you ought to be on a Hawaiian Punch commercial. You got some Magnum TA. What's he gonna pull up in a red sports car, all smiles with pretty teeth? But this is not a toothpaste commercial. This is professional wrestling. And what I do very best, better than anything, is wrestle. Wrestling machine. So just remember one thing, boys. I'm heading your way. Mid-Atlantic Sports has piled enough money, and they're going to throw it all back together. So just one thing, just one brief thing for you to do, boys. Delta has 5 non-stops daily, 250 pounds of culture bulks heading your way. You guess which plane I'm going to be in. You guess when I'm going to show up, but I'm coming real soon. See you, boys.
Boy, does that bring back some memories. Wow.
Most of our listeners to the show know that you were famous or infamous or notorious or whatever descriptor you want to use for your promos. When and how did you start to really work on that and hone that on these long car rides to and from? Is that the idea, or was there a different approach back then?
Well, like I said, before I got in the business, the guys I broke in with, all my buddies, I was cutting promos on them when I was 17 years old, 18 years old. And Dick Slater, Bob Orton Jr., when they were with Gary Hart, that was the strongest influence on me that I can remember of everybody, every wrestler I ever saw. Those 2 guys together, it's like something just clicked on, and I went, God, these guys are so good, and they gel so well together. And their promos, they were different, but they complemented each other. Gary Hart was the manager that complemented his two guys. He didn't overshadow them. And that was the first guys that really affected me that way. And they were like my idols. And it's funny, Randy Orton and I have had, some conversations about how much I idolize his dad, and, getting to work with Randy, who's a natural and has had a tremendous career. It's just it's like DiBiase and his boys, you know, and my relationship with Teddy, and then my relationship with his kids. It's just, it's a big universe, but it's a small world.